welcome Chris Tucker today to Kate's Kitchen Party. We've set our table up at the Aquatarium in Brockville at the, what's it called, the Lighthouse Theater. And our backdrop are the beautiful fish who are local to the St. Lawrence River, which is really cool. I just want to welcome you, Chris, and thank you for coming on the show.
The less famous Chris Tucker. Yes,
that's true. Yeah. So, I mean, this show is really about just welcoming people and getting to know and I mean, I'm lucky because you and I have become very good friends over the last, I don't know what year. Already.
Almost a year now.
Almost a year, yeah. And
our Facebook friend I can't even, anniversary,
is
however
it?
They call it, is coming up.
Oh, that's really funny. But yeah, so I was new to the area and trying to establish myself in my career as a realtor, and you were kind of returning to the scene in insurance as a Sun Life advisor. And so you reached out to me and like, let's just grab a coffee and talk. So we did, and then we ended up talking for like, I don't know, 4 hours that first day.
Close to it. I think so. A couple coffees, some good food.
Yeah. I mean, we covered everything. We covered like life and parenting.
Yeah, probably talked a bit more about everything else rather than business, which is, I think is a lost art. But
yeah.
I think more people need to kind of slow down and have a conversation, and that's kind of,
and reach out to new people.
Yeah, like you don't keep yourself in a box, like because you never know, and that's why I said, it's even though I had no idea who you were, and from in that respect, I'm like, hey, it's always good to meet new people and just have, like I said, have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
Because you never know. It may not have gone anywhere. It may not have been like, hey, nope, okay, great.
Yeah.
And moved on. But luckily, I think we the families are now good friends, quite frankly, and it's improved. Pat on your back, I guess, improved my life and my family's life for the most part with just that networking.
Yeah, and I would say the same. I honestly, I think I'm so happy you reached out to me that day and that we were able to become friends because our boys became really good friends. Yeah. And for my son, that's like everything because he has a friend who gets him and who just like accepts him and they just get along so well. And I absolutely love watching them play together. I think it's like the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And your daughter too. She's awesome. She's the best. And I didn't even know that. So I was in Heroes and Villains.
You can thank my wife for all of that. I probably have very little to.
So I decided on a whim to try out for Heroes and Villains when the Brockville Operatic Society was doing that choir thing. I'm sure they'll appreciate me on the production.
All good.
I didn't realize that Georgia was also in that. And it wasn't until after you and I met that I was like, oh, she's your daughter. And she's also, working at the Y and stuff. So just, small town connections, right? Where everybody's
definitely around here.
Yeah. And then your wife too. She's just awesome. I love hanging out with her. And
she doesn't think that many people know her, but I'm like, you have no idea how many people I talk to who you already know.
Brockville famous.
Yep.
Yeah. No. It's been very cool. And it's one of the things that I know that Bill and I, my husband Bill and I, we really missed that kind of connection living in a city, right? That's exactly the thing that we wanted to find coming to a smaller town is other families and that feeling of community and belonging and just being accepted and being well surrounded by people and being supported. It's so important, right?
Absolutely. And that's the thing where, everybody wants to be connected to somebody. And I think that with, and even how we met, like that was a big leap, right? Because I've been with my head in the sand for, 4 years, going on 5 years, and just kind of meeting new people. It's weird because you don't really know what or how to do it anymore. It's, not unlike dating, I guess, in a weird way. But, you're meeting somebody new for the first time. Yes, you do have some mutual acquaintances and you're looking to see, hey, maybe I can help you. Can you help me as the start? But then, that's just, again, like that's just the beginning, right? Like that's where I think people, again, forget and don't put themselves out there. And when you're talking like what we do in small businesses and stuff like that, you have to kind of lay it bare.
Yeah.
You have to let people understand who you are, what you're about, so that they can know and make a good decision on whether or not they want to work with you. And it's okay if they don't. And I think a lot of people, that's where they fail to take that leap, and then they'll fail eventually. Or it'll be a lot harder road.
Right.
And because I'm willing to, kind of lay it out and just be like, and I tell everybody I don't pull punches. I try to be as forthcoming as possible. I'm a pretty nice guy, and obviously I can't get along with everybody, and not everybody will get along with me. But again, you have to find out. You have to be able to go and risk that rejection.
Yeah.
And I've had that. Like, I've met with you for coffee many times, and we, and it worked out well. I've met other people where, it seems like things are going well. It's kind of like dating, I guess. And then you're ghosted, I guess is the term. And then you never hear from them again. And you're like, what happened? And then you're like, what did I do wrong? Did I do anything wrong? Did it just not work out? Were they busy? So it's very, very similar. It's just like any other relationship building.
Yeah.
But so luckily, for us, I think both of us, things have worked out, and, hopefully the sky's the limit, and,
Yeah. And it's interesting because our industries are pretty similar in that respect, in terms of like trying to meet people and network, and not just build your client base, but also build your professional relationships and a referral network. There's a lot involved with being the kind of small business owners that we are, right? They're not all that different in that respect.
very similar.
Very similar.
And I think that's, and again, that's what I think was a common ground.
Yeah.
Where, with respect to like the relationship building and clients and stuff like that, I think that in some cases there's a separation, but I like to think of them as interchangeable. Like every single one of my clients, there's a few, but I don't know all of my clients, unfortunately. I'm trying to get to know most of my clients now, but the ones that I've brought on board into the business and I'm being able to help out, I find the ones where we get to have a proper conversation, get to build that relationship. One that's something special, because, again, back to everybody wants to have, as many relationships and reach outs as possible. Makes you feel like, hey, feels good.
Yeah.
If you just look at people as clients per se, for me, it kind of takes away a little bit of something. And not everybody wants to have that kind of a, professional relationship. And being a client is okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. But the goal, I think, should always be, have a really good set of that client that has a relationship aspect to it as well.
Yeah, that authentic.
Yeah.
Kind of human interaction. I think it was kind of hard for people for a long time. Yes, because of COVID, and we all kind of went indoors and hid away for a while. And so remembering how to step outside of that comfort zone again, and remembering how to like people again.
Comfort and trust, I think, because again, and we use the verbiage a lot in my industry now, because again, I'll say it, I think there's been a lot of trust lost in the financial world over the course of the last 10 years even. And especially just trust lost since COVID, or during COVID, I think, just in general, overall for people, and with social media. Being able to build that relationship and have that conversations and building and letting people understand who you are, and vice versa. So it helps me to know who people are. It helps people know.
Absolutely.
Because if I'm going to be providing any kind of advice to anybody, they have to trust me.
Yeah.
If they don't trust me, then we shouldn't be working together necessarily. Like, I can't help them because they're not necessarily going to provide all the proper information, or they're not going to be able to do the things that they might need to do in order to accomplish the goals or reach the goals that they want. And, and again, like in your world as well, you could be giving, and we've had this conversation before where, you give advice, and if somebody doesn't quite trust you, they're like, well, no, maybe not. And then they could be missing out on a really good opportunity. And unfortunately, I've seen it. I've called up people where, you know, we've never met, but, you know, I'm reviewing things and I'm like, hey, there's a huge opportunity here for you.
They don't trust you.
And they don't trust me. And I don't blame them because we've never met.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a lot of people in my industry retiring. So I'm, you know, people are coming over to my office now just through attrition.
Yeah.
And again, that's okay, you know, and I have to remind myself that that's okay.
Yeah.
Constantly, because again, it's a two-way conversation. I can't just tell somebody that no, you have to trust me. This is a relationship from, you know, nothing.
Yeah, and I've definitely experienced that too in my industry, because I'll find something, I'll find a house for somebody, and I get so excited because I see the value in a particular property or something, right? I'll be like, oh, everything has been updated recently, or they've you know, the house might look like it's straight out of, you know, 1972 with shag carpet and wood paneling, but they've updated all the important stuff. All the important stuff is done.
I like that old shag carpeting still and brings me back. I kind of like that. My wife not so much.
Sometimes it's good. Sometimes, but I can see the value, right? And I try to express it, but I get so excited, and I think that sometimes if the person I'm working with doesn't know me, they don't know my personality, or they don't know, you know, my quirks or whatever, it can be misconstrued as, you know, salesy or whatever. I'm just trying to sell them on something, and that's, you know, not the case. I get so excited because I'm like, oh, this would be such a good match for you, and I get so excited. I was just called that. I hate that.
Person called me up.
I hate it.
They called me. They were new to the office. We just acquired them. They're out of another area, so they didn't know me. And I was called a salesperson, and that took me back a bit, because I'm like, all right, well, you know, that's yours. But again, I had to really, it bugged me. But then I'm like, you know what? No, they're right. They were right in their perception.
Yep.
Because of the way that the industry.
Yeah.
Even though it's a small business, like, and I own my own, I work out of my home. Like I am, you know, I don't work for Sun Life or anything of that nature per se. Yeah. I'm contracted for them, and as I am with a bunch of others. However, I'm the face. They see that. So, you know, the previous people that they've had those interactions with, that's how they perceive them. So that's where they went to. And it took me a little bit, and we're working at it. And, you know, again, building that relationship. And now maybe they think I'm not as salesy, I hope. But again,
well, it's right there in my title, sales representative. But at the end of the day, it's a service that I'm providing. And
correct.
And that is the thing that I try to stress so much, right? I really want to provide a really great service, and I really want to get to know the people and build those relationships. I genuinely